afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Those of you, the two of you, Callum and Jamie, in the room with me at the moment, and everybody who's joining us via web link from all sorts of parts of the world. I know we have people joining us from as far away as Vietnam. I know we've got people joining us from Canada, from New York State, even from far-flung Aberdeen. But wherever you are, we are, thanks to the miracle of technology, joined together to celebrate the love and the marriage of Monique and Jamie. It's a really extraordinary thing that we're able to do this right now. I know this is not the wedding that we had planned. It's not how we would like to have it. We all want to be together, being able to hug and touch and kiss and party. But a couple of years ago, to do this would have involved a fleet of trucks outside and a satellite somewhere. And the fact that we can do this with the technology we've got is really remarkable. It's a very, very special moment. I can't wait for it to begin. And it is Callum who's going to kick us off by pressing play. So I think wherever you are in the world, will you all please rise for the entrance of the bridal party, if you can, Callum. You can't, stay where you are. Thank you very much. Now we're going to find the fade button for the next piece of music, Callum, but that's well done. So thank you so much, Elsa, for arranging the gown, beautiful gown, so elegantly. Let's begin, I suppose, by introducing our wedding party, and actually this would be really great if they could see you. So guys, could you both stand up and turn with your backs to me towards the camera so that actually you can be seen. On my right, we have Elsa, who's Monique's best friend. They met at Robert Gordon University in 2013. Callum has known Jamie just a little bit longer because, would you believe it, despite being massively taller, he is his brother, and he's known Jamie all of his life. Thank you both. You can have a seat now, and you can go on to your jobs as a second camera if you have time. Today, as you know, we're doing this live web link, but what's making it more interesting and doubly challenging is that our maid of honour and our best man are also kind of second unit camera. So they'll be shooting the ceremony as well. So in a later edit, we hope that some of your footage is going to join with the professional work that's been done for you as well. So first of all, let me begin by thanking all of you for joining us today. To state the obvious, I've seen the shop from outside. It's like there's almost nobody here. There are far fewer people here than we would wish. And obviously that brings great sadness, but we shouldn't forget, because it's the reason we're here, the happiness and the love that's led to Jamie and Monique being here today. They decided to proceed with the day despite all the restrictions because it means so much to them to be getting married. And through all the many challenges of this past year, they felt it was important to continue their journey through life together as husband and wife. I should introduce myself, I suppose. My name is Tim Maguire. I'm what they call a humanist celebrant. We're not going to bang on about humanism today, but the point of this kind of ceremony, and the reason it's become so popular in Scotland, is that unlike most forms of marriage, it doesn't just give the couple the freedom to say what they want. Actually, that is what this is about. Today's ceremony has been written by Monique and Jamie, so pretty much from now on it's going to be their words and thoughts that I'm speaking. Let's talk about the people who we wish were with us who can't be. Obviously, in particular, Roz and Fiona, who actually should be joining us to witness the signing of the marriage schedule. We're missing grandparents, we're missing our brother, we're missing our bridesmaid, and we're missing a bestest auntie and a bestest uncle. And for all of you watching from home, obviously in a pre-COVID world, we're going to be somewhere much, much bigger. Because how many people are going to be here?
150?
Yeah, 150 people. So the thing is, we are sharing the day with you. So we hope that wherever you are safe and you are well in your respective homes, wearing your wedding outfits or your PJs with a cup of tea or perhaps something a bit more interesting. We must make an extra special thank you to Angus. This is a good chance for you to give us a nice close-up of these trews, Callum. You will now, I know, notice Jamie's fabulous trews, which once belonged to his granddad. They've made their way here through 2 generations and many, many more celebrations. So, Angus, although you cannot be here with us today, at least your trousers are. So, if everybody is ready, let's begin. Now, the point of this kind of ceremony is that we talk about the story of how we come to be here. So, if you're sitting comfortably, this is definitely not a story about love at first sight. It begins in Aberdeen back in March of 2015, and Jamie was working at Amigus Apple, hungry for a new challenge, and so hungry that he'd served his notice without having a job to go to. Foolish, some might say, Fiona. However, for the purpose of all of us being here today, actually it was a pretty good decision, because before moving on to his next venture, Jamie was asked to oversee Paramount for a while, a bar just a few doors down the road. So it was during this period of time, on a typical Aberdeen cold, wintry midweek night, that our pair first met. Now, while studying to become an occupational therapist, Monique was working part-time in Paramount, in her own words, as a less than competent bartender. And Jamie, ever the professional, was keen to introduce himself to the new team firsthand. So with the clipboard in hand, and nothing to go by apart from your first name and start time, he welcomed each one on their arrival, on time for their shift, all apart from one. I think you can see where this is going, can't you? Sliding across a dipped portion of the bar top, in comes Monique, blissfully unaware of the change in management, or indeed what the time was. And she recalls spotting Jamie at the end of the bar and thinking, who is this handsome man? And what is he doing here? And he looks like he means business. And Jamie welcomed Monique, and Julie informed her that she was late for a shift. And then he, what he found out subsequently was typical Monique behaviour. In her sass, she replied, actually the rota was merely a suggested start time, and in fact that she was not late. So there. So unimpressed by each other, and after a desperate yet failed attempt by Monique to rectify the situation with her new boss, all conversation ended. Fast forward 12 months to another meeting, this time in Revolution. At this point, as you may know, there were a lot of meetings and a lot of bars in those days. Monique was heading off on an all-girls weekend, and she spotted Jamie before her departure, and fueled by a tipple or two, she made an excuse to make small talk. So, fast forward a bit, 48 hours and a wee hangover or 2 later, Monique was back in Revolution, this time with friend Kat in tow. I hope Kat, you're with us over the web link. Jamie, being his charming and generous self, arranged for some flavoured vodka shots to be sent over. And Monique and Kat accepted, of course, finishing them off, and then set about thanking Jamie by singing him a song. Yes, you did hear me correctly. She sang him a song. I'm tempted to ask you to sing it to us now, but
I wouldn't.
Well, she was very keen to share that Jamie had made her day a little bit lighter and her life a little bit brighter. I'm sure you can hear the tune in your heads even as I speak. Anyway, not being put off by Monique's singing, phone numbers were exchanged, and during the following week, text messages followed, neither knowing if the feelings that they had emerging for each other were mutual. But another handful of dates and more time spent together resulted in Jamie plucking up the courage, not only to ask Monique to be his girlfriend, but also to invite her to meet his family. Now, to his delight, she accepted on both accounts, probably at the time not really knowing what she was letting herself in for. Obviously not in being his girlfriend, but more so with a trip to Nairn to meet the family. Now, there was no question that his family would love her just as much as he did, and many more trips, happy trips to Nairn have followed since. Later that year, they unofficially moved in together. Jamie and Callum moved out of their bachelor pad, and together with Tony, moved into their West End townhouse. And without consultation and in relatively quick fashion, Monique moved in too. And in their first few months together, they achieved a lot, including their first trip to the family favourite Mallorca, staying in Jim and Susan's flat. They also spent time with Monique's extended family in London, Prestwick, and Newton Moor. But the year came to a drunken end with Jamie's first visit to Heriot, or what some may call his initiation And having heard the stories of the wild parties that had unfolded in prior years, most notably the time that Vernon had fallen asleep under the village Christmas tree, Jamie was primed. And Jamie is accustomed to Highland hospitality, and he thought he'd be well seasoned for the night ahead. Well, he thought wrong. The whiskey, the vermouth and the laughter flowed very freely, and a good time was had by all. Fast forward to the following morning, the best part of a bottle of fine, peaty, salty Lefroy re-emerged at the side of the A7. It was far from Jamie's finest hour, but his initiation was complete, and he had been welcomed by Harriet. The following year, they would officially move in together, which took them to Berry Street, and I know a number of you enjoyed a party or two there. Their time in that flat presented some of their greatest challenges, because in particular, in the final part of Monique's degree, an opportunity came along to complete an 8-week placement in London, and a 6-month secondment to York followed for Jamie. So, irrespective of time and distance, they gladly and willingly committed to travelling to ensure they spent time together each week. Jamie taking off every single airport that London has, and Monique enduring the 6-hour train journey to York for Friday evening. But while they faced their challenges, they also shared many happy memories in Berry Street. To name but a few, Monique's graduation, her first professional job, the infamous bauble party, the first occasion upon which their mothers and grandmothers met, and of course their second Christmas together. That year they also squeezed in trips to Berlin, Milan, Barcelona, just in time for that terrorist attack. They celebrated New York's Christmas lights being switched on at the top of the Rockefeller Center. Many people, Annabelle, had bet their bottom dollars that they would return from that trip engaged, but Jamie, of course, had a much better plan. A pivotal juncture in their story came as Jamie was offered a great opportunity to continue his revolution journey in Glasgow. And while they were extremely happy at the prospect of this new venture, there were some losses to contend with, not least packing up their life and leaving Aberdeen. This was particularly challenging for Monique, who had had a job and many friends who she loved and spent regular time with there. But alas, she abandoned you after not too much deliberation, because the thought of losing out on a future with Jamie was something she was unwilling to forgo. So arriving in Glasgow saw a summer enjoying the best of what the West End, and indeed the rest of Glasgow, had to offer, and needless to say they had a great time. As winter approached, and with a lack of sunshine and beer gardens, they reflected on their move south and began to wonder if it had been a mistake. For Jamie, pressure of work increased. For Monique, she was in a job that she wasn't happy in, and it was a tough few months, but with determination and support of one another, they did it. The year was topped off with a festive trip to Nairn, where more memories were made. This was a first for Ros and Nelson, with their families together for traditional Nairn Christmas at a local Indian, and they couldn't have been happier. Now, 2019 is where you might say the plan started to come together. It began with a trip to Paris, enjoying both the Moulin Rouge and swinging champagne in the pouring rain under the lights of the Eiffel Tower. Could it get more romantic? And it was on that trip they learned that Monique had secured a new job in the state hospital, one which she would go on to both enjoy and excel in. Jamie and Revolution were going from strength to strength, and the decision to remain in the Central Belt was cemented as a good one, so much so that they bought their very first home together and a pair of matching minis to match. In that summer, they returned to Mallorca for the infamous family holiday with the Melons. So the Prince William, when he tried to sing again, Waboba, and lunchtime steins of beer all featured heavily. Now, they began the year 2020 with the knowledge that change was very much afoot in their lives, mainly a new opportunity for Jamie with Tiger Lily. Of course, none of us then imagining the sheer turmoil that COVID-19 was to bring. And on the 26th of January, a year ago today, there was nothing more that Jamie wanted to do than have Monique by his side for all that was to come. So, at Rosalind Chapel, where Vernon and Annabelle were married, and on the very spot, indeed, where they had stood 57 years before, Jamie popped the question. And, of course, Monique said yes. She said, actually, the proposal was so carefully considered that she could not have wished for anything more. It was perfect in every way. What followed was a trip of 1,000 miles, 2 thunderstorms, a lot of snow, a cancelled ferry, ample champagne, some of the finest hospitality they have ever experienced, and most importantly, one engagement ring safely collected from Orkney. Cut to close-up. Returning from the trip, Jamie began his new job, and then only a few weeks later had to close due to the pandemic. Yeah, it has been a really hard year for all of us, but for you two especially, and of course that prompted them to reconsider their original plans for a big summer wedding. And on an evening at home, in the jammies, sitting on the sofa, in what they call their happy place, they'd realised that the most important thing was just to be married. So that being said, they are excited to begin 2021 together, living in another new city, waiting to move into their next new home in the poignant location of Roslin. And before we go any further, Jamie and Monique just really want to express how grateful to all of you that they are able to be here, and how wonderful it is to have all of you joining us from your homes, supporting them in celebrating their marriage and the beginning of the rest of their lives. Now, I think it'd be nice just to take a little moment to reflect on what you've heard, to think about the meaning of marriage, and also to think about the people that we love who cannot be with us. And for those of you of faith, wherever you are, you're very welcome to use this moment for silent prayer. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the other thing that human assembly-led couples do is make promises in their own words. And to do that, I'd now like to ask Elsa to come and take Monique's flowers, please, and give her the cards that she's going to need to speak to Jamie. That's all right. Thank you very much. And Callum, can you come and do the same, please, for Jamie? Thank you. Now, as you two are getting married, I think you're allowed to move a bit closer together. So why don't you step forward in front of your marks. Now remember, what we're doing here is you two are re-talking to one another and you're creating your future. So use the cards to look at them, remind yourself of what you want to say, and then just talk to each other. Monique, I think you get to go first.
Okay. Jamie, I promise to always care for you, to love you, our friends and our family. I promise to continue to make our house a home filled with love, contentment, happiness and scented candles. I promise to always make sure that we have fun and laugh together. And I promise to support you in your career and to be your biggest fan. And finally, I promise to continue to make your days a little bit lighter and your life a little bit brighter.
Monique, I promise to care and support you while you care for me and all of our family and friends. I promise to keep you safe, be your biggest supporter, and tell you that I love you every day. I promise to observe your vulnerabilities and insecurities and love you despite them. I promise to make you a priority and to spend quality time with you. I always promise to top up your half-empty glass, making it half full, even when planning a wedding under tight restrictions amidst the pandemic.
Well done. Now, in addition to making promises to each other, you're now going to do, if you like, a formal set of vows and exchange rings. I think what we will do is ask Elsa to come forward and take the cards, put them on the table over there or by your seat. And can you please give Monique the ring that she is going to give Jamie? And give her not the box, the ring itself, so you just take the box away. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, so again, now what we're going to do here is you can move even closer together. Jamie, put your left hand forward, drop your right hand by your side. Monique, take his left hand in your left hand. Put the ring on the third finger of his right hand. And we'll do this bit, repeat after me. Now, remember, don't look at me.
Okay.
Look at Jamie. So I, Monique Burgess.
I, Monique Burgess.
Choose you.
Choose you.
Jamie Alexander Cameron. Now, how do we check pronunciation? Crothall?
Crothall.
Okay, so we'll do that. Take two. Jamie Alexander Cameron Crothall.
Jamie Alexander Cameron Crothall.
Above all others.
Above all others.
To be my husband.
To be my husband.
I accept you in marriage.
I accept you in marriage.
And I give you this ring.
And I give you this ring.
As a symbol of my love.
As a symbol of my love.
And as a reminder.
And as a reminder.
Of the promises I make to you.
Of the promises that I make to you.
Wear it always.
Wear it always.
And when we're apart.
And when we're apart.
Look upon it and think of me.
Look upon it and think of me.
Done. Okay, great. So, Cam, can you please give Jamie the other ring? Thank you very much. So, Monique, put your left hand forward. And you take your left hand in your left hand, if that's it. Put the ring on the third finger, and again, we'll do this bit, repeat after me. So, I, Jamie Alexander Cameron Crothall.
I, Jamie Alexander Cameron Crothall.
Choose you, Monique Burgess.
Choose you, Monique Burgess.
Above all others.
Above all others.
To be my wife.
To be my wife.
I accept you in marriage.
I accept you in marriage.
I give you this ring.
I give you this ring.
As a symbol of my love.
As a symbol of my love.
And as a reminder.
And as a reminder.
Of the promises I make to you today.
Of the promises I make to you today.
Wear it always.
Wear it always.
And when we're apart.
And when we're apart.
Look upon it and think of me.
And look upon it and think of me.
So, Elsa, Callum, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world, can I ask you all please to rise? Usually from Karen holding hands. Give them a hand putting it on. That's it. So, Jamie and Monique, you can look at me this time because I'm talking to you. You both made a solemn and binding promise. And by virtue of these declarations made in my presence and in the presence of your witnesses and your family and friends all around the world, it gives me great pleasure to pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss. You may applaud. Congratulations, you two. Now, this is the bit that's normally 5 minutes of cheering and stamping, and I'm prepared to bet that in Canada, in Vietnam, in New York State, in Aberdeen, everybody's up there, Guinness Loudy. So you can carry on, Guinness Loudy. You lot can all drink at home. We can't do that yet. What we're going to do now is we're going to sign the marriage schedule. I don't know if we need to, we rejig for this, so we'll be over to one side of the room slightly. So can I ask you, Jamie, to take Monique and kind of go right into the back of the table, and then we'll do this in stages. I think because of the COVID restrictions, I'm going to ask you to come in and sign this, in one at a time, so we're not all in the same space. Mm-hmm. Right, Jamie, can you please take the nearest envelope, the nearest pen to you. Open that up. Pull the pen out. Okay, and then pull the top off it. It's a pull top. Okay, put it on the bottom quite hard to fall off on this. So if you're both right-handed, aren't you? Okay, so Jamie, put your signature in the box top left, just your normal signature. Okay, and then give the pen to Monique. And then can you put your signature in the box top right? Okay, right, can you please put the top back on that pen? Put it back in its wee thingy. Jolly good. Now let me think. You're bubbled up, so actually you can come in. Could you guys step out and go over to where Callum is just for a moment? Callum, can you swap places and can you come in and put your signature? I'll give it just I don't know where you are in terms of the order of signing. Your dad, see my fingers? That's your line. Use that pen. That's the one. So if you sign on the dotted line, just your usual signature, what I'm going to do with all of you is ask you not what your name is, but what your signature actually means. So, my full name, for instance, is Timothy Hugh Maguire. It's Tim Maguire I signed, so I write Tim Maguire. So I just need to know what you've written, and then I'll transcribe it. So that's what we'll do. Thank you very much. Now, can you step in, please, Elsa? Choose one of the pens in the other envelope. Anyone? And you sign. That's a twist off on that one. Okay. So you look for the dotted line
just
on
about,
yours.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Thank you. So put your signature on that. And you step up.
Pen's not working.
Just drop. Tell you what. Just drop the nib into there. Thank you. There you go. Thank you very much. That's the problem with real ink pens. They do old-fashioned things. No, just leave it there. I'll take that one out in a second. So you go back. Right, so my first task is to sign it, and then I'm going to ask you what it was you wrote. So, with the one remaining clean pen, very COVID observant, I shall now sign this. No, I need to do the same thing. Okay, Jamie, that looks like it could say anything at all, really, couldn't it? What does it say?
It says Jamie Alexander Cameron Croft.
Your signature? It sounds like a squiggle.
Yeah.
Is it J? Is it J?
JC.
JC, thank you, that's exactly what I mean. So JC. Monique is then Burgess, I can work that one out.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
Callum, yours is C. Crothall?
C. Crothall.
And Elsa, yours is?
Ahowden. Ahowden.
Ahowden, so I thought you said K. A.
Yeah.
So Ahowden for me, please.
Howden.
That's what I thought. Good. Right. This is the point at which people traditionally do kind of what I call fakies, where you pretend to write stuff, but I don't think we'll do that today, will we? Instead, we will move on. So thank you, Brett. You can now come back to the middle of the room. You are now married, which means you can stand side by side. Now, we're going to do something rather special in a moment, which is an old Scots custom, as it's often described, of hand fasting. Now, again, I need your assistance at various points. So, hand fasting has become very much a part of contemporary marriage. It used to, bizarrely, it used to occur when people got engaged. Because in an age before folk like us could afford jewellery, a couple would have their hands bound together with a piece of cloth. So that's what we're going to do. This time we've got two pieces of fabric which have clearly got significance to our couple. One is a scarf and one is a tie. So can I ask you both to put your right arms forward? Monique, take Jamie's elbow and you take his. Right, so Elsa, can you please come up and please put we've got the tie into Jamie's hand at Monique's elbow. Thank you. And Jamie, can you wrap it around, Monique, both do, loosely wrap it around your forearms. About twice will do. And get it up to the end there. Get a wee bit tight. Go. Get one round one more, I think. That's it, into your hand down there. Right, so Callum, can you please bring up the scarf, and if you go to Monique, and she wraps it in that hand, again, go the opposite direction, over the top, and round, and round, and round. Okay, so this is, there are many ways of doing a hand fasting, and this is one where the idea is that you both step back and pull at the same time. So I'm going to give you a count from 3 down to 1, at that point, step apart and tie the knot.
And
so
hold on.
Hold it, yeah, hold on to the fabric. So, 3, 2, 1. There you are, you've done it, you've tied the knot. So congratulations to you both. The scarf is from Jamie's grandmother, and the tie has kindly been donated by Monique's granddad. So thank you both for that. That's something which can go into your box of mementos, and you can look back on that in years to come. This is the point at which normally I'd be sending you two off to join the merry throng. I think you will be joining the merry throng in a way, so I'm sure there'll be lots of video hookups afterwards. For my own part, I'm so pleased that I've been able to be a part of this very special moment for both of you. I hope that when you look back on it, not just in the video replays, but in terms of your memory in years to come, you're going to remember today, and you remember what it was that made you come to this moment and make those promises to one another. And I hope that you will always remember them, and not just every anniversary, but every day. I give you, ladies and gentlemen, your bride and groom, Monique and Jamie, and wherever you are in the world, please applaud. And are we having some music at this point, or are we just going to go and kiss and head off? I think we'll kiss and head off.